Where were you emotionally, and what happened when you heard that the film may or may not happen?
Oh, it was definitely, over the years, it was a roller coaster. I've had some other experiences like that where films were, on the verge. It was always teetering on that line of will it or won't it for a while, and I think I became so. And again, it wasn't. It really just had to do with the lining up the money. It wasn't that I didn't think that Mike or Chris was enthusiastic. I just thought it just came down to dollars and cents, and but I became very just sort of immune to the roller coaster of emotions, and just sort of accepted everything as it was, and just was optimistic that it eventually would happen. It was just a matter of timing, like everything else.
Is that something that you practiced early on, or you learned to develop?
It comes with age and maturation, and my martial arts training. I'm an impatient person by nature, but I've definitely learned to temper it over the years, and just keep everything in perspective. And there's just so many things that are out of your control. I tell that to my wife all the time. It was like, with any aspect of life. And filmmaking obviously is no different. It requires such a tremendous amount of patience. Look, I have another film now that I've been sitting on for 4 years, which I think is a, very timely concept with everything we're going through. It was timely 4 years ago. But trying to get everybody in sync with everyone's schedule, and I don't blame anyone. Everyone's got their own thing they're doing, but it definitely gets to the point, and I'm still guilty of being like, what in the F are we doing? What's going on here? It can be very just, you really have to learn to, I would say, if it's a year, that's one thing, but when you go on 3-4 years and you're still waiting, it's like, okay. You start to get a little wary about where everything is, and just hope that, again, your number's called. But again, so many things are out of your control.
And again, that was a teacher at NYU that said, if you stick with it, eventually.
That was my manager.
Your manager, okay.
If you keep at it, eventually your number comes up. I learned that about my wife. I was single for many years, and I would get frustrated that I was like, I just like to meet a nice girl, and somebody who I really felt that connection with, and it took a long time, but eventually my number got called, and we've been, actually we've been together 4 years as of yesterday, and
oh, great.
We met 4 years ago yesterday, and then we've been married for close to 2 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. But it just, I think it's just, look, some people it happens sooner, other people it happens a little bit later. And I think if you can just stay optimistic and stay focused and keep moving forward and not get discouraged, and it's so hard to get discouraged. It's so hard. But I really believe that if you're truly passionate about it, and at the same time you have that talent, and you have multiple great stories to tell, but just takes one, it will eventually get you there. I do believe that. I'm living proof of that. But again, it's not getting discouraged. So many people, actors, writers, directors, everyone comes to Hollywood is meant to discourage you. It's here to discourage you. It's the development people are paid to say no. They're paid to say no to writers. So, and it's so easy to just get discouraged and turned off by that. And we all have dealt with it. But I will say that, you know, if you stick to your guns, you keep honing your craft, you stay encouraged, not discouraged, and you keep marching forward. Sorry for you know, the cliches, but it's true. And you do have a talent for it, even a modicum of talent. If you have it and you keep nurturing it, you know, and again, eventually, you know, I do think I think it was I do think it was Aaron Sorkin, I believe, who said, you know, good material eventually finds its way.
Yeah,
I believe it was him.
It sounds like I watched the master class with him. It was excellent. I feel like
Yeah.
you might have said that as well. And in a sense, not to cheapen dating with the film industry, but there's some similarities in that in LA, the dating world is so much about, oh, how do they look on paper?
Absolutely.
Where'd they go to school? What do they do?
How do they look in person? What's the
Oh, yeah,
the
what do they look in
facade.
person? Sometimes people don't even care about that. They just want to know,
Superficiality.
what do they do for a living? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so that equates the same way in the film industry. Who's attached? What is this? And it's like the same.
What have
Nah,
they
I need
done?
something bigger. I need this. I need
Right.
better. But then that one special thing, i.e., or the special person, you can somehow find that. But it takes a long time, I think.
Yeah, it sometimes can. Sometimes it's quick. Sometimes it's, you know, it doesn't take as long. Sometimes it takes longer. And again, you know, I'm not saying, look, I mean, people may read Take Back or watch Take Back eventually and be like, you know, what? But, you know, we've all seen those movies where we're like, what were they thinking? You know, how did this thing get made? I'm guilty of saying that. I am. But I still think that there has to be a couple of things. The script has to be somewhat decent, all right? It has to be legible. It has to have some kind of emotion tied into it. And again, you don't know how it could just affect, and somebody reacts. Luckily, you know, Christian and Mike both really liked the script. They dug it, and they were like, okay, let's get rocking on this. The producer who took it to them was the same way. Like, they took to it. And again, I had a number of people who were lined up who did really like the script and were high on it. So I had that going for me. But sometimes, look, again, bring you back to the French Connection. I think that went to 25 different places before somebody said yes.
Really?
Yeah. I believe, don't quote me, but I believe it went to every studio in town, production companies. It went all around. And there's a handful of other screenplays that went around. You know, it was, and it wasn't like, you know, a bidding war for them. And, you know, you saw what amazing movies came out of that. And again, I'm not saying ours is going to be on that level, but all it takes is one person to say yes. 20 people may say no. 25 in the case of French Connection, 24 said no, and then I believe it was Zanuck. I believe it was
okay. Mm-hmm.
Dick Zanuck said yes when he was running things over there. He was young. He was the wunderkind. And his father, Daryl, had run Fox, and he said yes. It's that's it. And if you're, and I was fortunate that happened. And I hope it happens again.
I believe you said you've been writing scripts ever since you were at NYU.
Yeah.
How many years did you go, even though
20.
20, okay.
I did option a number of scripts along the way. And I was fortunate that some of my scripts served as good samples to get me into meetings with a number of, you know, fairly well-known producers and network execs. But this was the first script that I was able to really close. It took a while.
20 years?
20 years. 20 years. And, you know, I'm grateful that it, you know, that it's here. I'm grateful that I do have the credit. But it did take a while. And, you know, again, I'm one of those, and I'm sure many guys and girls who had a lot of near misses with their scripts. No doubt. No doubt. And I was fortunate that a lot of those people really did like my work that I submitted. It was always like, we really like your script, not this, but what else do you have? And I'd say, well, I have this. And they're like, yeah. And it just didn't always sync up. You know, I did have some really wonderful meetings with some, you know, again, some fairly well-known people, but in the end, it just, this happened finally. It was wonderful.
Well, we always hear about, you know, 20 Under 25, and you know, if you look at, was it Stieg Larsson from the trilogy series,
Yes.
The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and all
Yeah.
that? I think he was almost 50. I know he's 50
Yeah.
when he passed away, but
Yeah.
he'd been working on at least one book. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what.
When he died, I think they came out after he died. He never even
Right.
saw the success.
Right,
Yeah.
and he had been a journalist and doing other things, and so it took a very long time, but he was just very dedicated to, he wanted to
Absolutely.
do it right.
Yeah, there was a gentleman who just, I believe, sold. I think he's in his 40s, and he had something similar happen where he was like just living hand to mouth. He had a family. I believe he's maybe even Irish, and I think he wrote a book that sold for a few $1 million.
Oh, wow.
And there definitely have been, there are, and I certainly don't, you know, I try to stay young so I don't feel my age, but no, it was just definitely, you know, just staying on the path and sticking with it, and you know, again, you know, this isn't like, you know, a major studio film, but it's still, I'm proud of what happened with it. I'm proud that it got made. It's not easy, and especially during the time of COVID. So I definitely take some pride in that. And if it leads to great things, you know, that would be wonderful. But I definitely did feel a sense of accomplishment when, you know, I got that paycheck and, you know, it's, you know, the cameras were rolling. It really felt great. It really felt great. And again, I hope to continue writing, you know, and you know, having other stuff produced. We'll see. It remains to be seen.
At what point in the 20 years did you say, I'm not giving up?
I would say, you know, again, I was repped. I did have a literary manager for a long time who got my work out there, and I felt like over the years we got close on a few things, and it was, you know, it was obviously like a tease. So I never really felt like, you know, I was ready to give up. I always knew that I just have a burning passion to write. So in my mind, I was like, look, I'm going to keep doing this, and I will get there. You know, I did have some very supportive people, certainly not ass kissers, telling me, you know, just keep going. And it was encouraging. And I think really once I got this script and the other script that I mentioned, that's sort of with attachments, I think once those started coming in the last few years, that was like, okay, it started feeling like, okay, this will eventually happen. We're going to go through, well, we obviously went through some discouraging times and a little bit of the emotional roller coaster, but we were able to, I felt eventually we were going to get there. So I'd say in the last few years. I also started about 5 years ago. I started writing novels as well, and I do have a agent, a book agent, and he's always been very encouraging. And you know, he has one of our books that he's shopping now at a lot of the major publishers. So you know, it's I feel encouraged by that as well. But yeah, I never really. Of course, there are moments like, am I gonna quit? Did I get discouraged? Yes, but I never felt like I was gonna quit.
What did the script sale teach you?
Humility, perseverance. Yeah, it's when I saw that, when I saw the it was actually a deposit. Don't tell my account. I got a little misty-eyed, but I think I had been through so much with the, again, over the years, just again, people liking your work, you thinking you were close to something, but it was, I hate to say anticlimactic. And I got a little misty-eyed, but I was like, okay, this is great. But I think I had been at it so long that I was like, just it was definitely I definitely was humbled. I definitely felt humbled by it. I really did.
Humbled in the sense that you stuck with it because you loved it, or humbled in the sense that your number was called?
Both. Yeah, I did. I felt, again, it was just it was a lot of years. And, it's, the funny thing is the thing that went to me is like, oh, well, maybe this also could be the last time. But I did it. And that was great. That was it. That was, what I took from it. I savored it. But I guess I wasn't like I jumped down, up and down of this, around the house and popped a champagne cork. As much as I had always envisioned that, right, for years, like, I'm gonna go, ape crap here and just, do cartwheels down the street.
Risky business.
Right, exactly. Take my neighbor's Porsche out for a spin. No, it wasn't really like that at all. It was, again, just anticlimactic in a lot of regards. But again, I still left feeling very just humbled by the time and the experience, and and feeling that perseverance that, okay, this is real. I made it here, and if it's the only thing that I ever do, I still have it on. I still have it. I still have a credit. I still have it there, and that was wonderful. And I hope there are more. We'll see.
That was my next question. How confident are you that you will get another movie made?
Well, I feel that the other script that I have is, again, timely. I feel very connected to it. I think that it's got some really terrific elements in it. But it comes down to dollars and cents. And if the money's there, I think we're in good shape. It's also just always gauging people's levels of commitment in these things. And I feel like they are committed. But I think it comes down to attaching people and getting everyone working. I think it's gelling everyone together in order to push it through. That's what I'm hoping. But at this point, it's a matter of getting the investment into it. That $1.5 to $3 million it'll take to get there, and then hopefully it leads to snapping the clap sooner rather than later, but we'll see.
So going back to that question I had said about if you were going to teach someone to write a screenplay that sells, the first question probably would be, well, why do you even want to do it in the first place? Because that same person may not stick with that for the 20 years, but if you love it.
Yeah, if it's a burning passion and it gets you up in the morning and you just enjoy the process and the highs and lows that come with it, then go for it. If it's something where there's nothing wrong with giving it a try, but if it's something where you're not really, it's like anything else. It's Malcolm Gladwell's a 10,000 hour rule, right? Where you put in your 10,000 hours. I don't say you become an expert, but you become pretty proficient at something. It's just like that. But I think also with that 10,000 hours, you really have to love doing it. It really has to get you going. And, you know, you really, it's essentially, it is like your mistress. It's my mistress now. It was my girlfriend for many years. She became my mistress. Writing became my mistress after I got married. And my wife, you know, my wife coexists with her pretty well. But, but yeah, it's definitely something you just have to have an unbridled passion for. And you seek to get up every morning, and it's there, and it's like going to the gym and working out. It's working your writing muscles every day. Just going to the gym, going to the writing gym.
Was it The Goldfinch, Donna Tartt? Take her 12 years to finish that?
Did it?
Maybe. Is it a sequel to another? She had another one. They were, I think, both turned into films.
I know the name, yeah.
Goldfinch was turned into a film, but maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, 12 years.
Yeah. That's dedication.
Mm-hmm. And she just loved,
she
loved the process. And
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you know, there's, you know, I think William Goldman, he was younger because he was a novelist when he established himself probably in his late 20s, 30-ish but I don't think his first film was made until he was maybe in his mid 30s. So yeah, there's definitely, he's not the best example, but there's definitely, you know, I feel like writers or artists or et cetera out there who are, you know, sometimes it just takes them a little longer to gestate and find the story that is they're gonna, you know, make their mark with, or at least break through with that piece of work.
Did you write every day for 20 years?
Almost. I would say close to it. There were times, obviously, some weekends, or when I had my daughter, it wasn't always the easiest thing, but there were times where I'd get up early before she was awake, and especially when she was a baby, or super early and work. Now she sleeps late, so. But no, I usually at this stage, there occasionally I work on the weekends, but generally I confine it to Monday through Friday, for the most part.
So that 20 years, you would get up at 5:45.
Not every day, but I would make it. And then, you know, when I was working, I worked at Fox again as a research analyst for a number of years. I would I'd be up early before I'd have to work. And then I usually work during my lunch break. So I always try to get in at least maybe like 3 hours, you know, and then I would work sometimes on the weekend, definitely before I was married. But now I feel like, you know, I feel like I'm hitting most of my goals during the week. Again, working smarter, not harder.
There you go.